Thanks for joining me here today, folks, on the Daily Dining. The story I'm going to talk about today, I call the Farm Party Brawl, which, this is a place that I went to listen to some music one night, and all heck broke loose. So let me tell you about this story. I was invited to this farmhouse, which was owned by a friend of mine, and it was a large barn that they had in the backyard on a sizable piece of property, and the party was for a birthday. It was a birthday party, and it was a big hay barn. It had large posts holding the roof up. It was like an old oaken style barn. The band was playing music. People were dancing and drinking draft beer from one of the numerous kegs that was there. I was outside with the people that I came there with, and they rode with me in my car. I was a designated driver, so I wasn't drinking or doing anything else that night. I just went there to enjoy the party and the music. I had to park on a dirt road at the end of the long, winding driveway that led up to the barn, which led me to be concerned about my car because I couldn't watch it where it was at. I was concerned someone would try to vandalize it or something. It was just too far away for me to protect it. We were there about an hour, and this group of guys comes up from the road and began beating people up. I was near the front doors of the barn, and I watched them walking up the road, and they were engaging people, throwing punches. There was one guy, I call him the kickboxer. I'll refer to him later on. He was using, kickboxing moves on people. And so there was these 5 guys that were in that group. At first it started out small. It was only a short time, though, before all 5 men were throwing blows. They were attacking anyone in reach. The men began wading through people left and right. They were using advanced mixed martial arts maneuvers. So I immediately recognized that these individuals were extremely dangerous. And the largest guy with him was the guy that was using the kickboxing style. And he was a pretty big guy. The brief moment that I had, I took notice of this. The guy kickboxing. He definitely had an advanced style with him. We were standing at the corner of the barn. The barn doors were swung wide open, and you could see the lights from the inside were illuminating the driveway and parking lot right out in front of the barn. And you could just see one of the assailants in the light from it. So, right off, 2 of my friends took off running towards the house to call the police. Cell phones didn't exist at that time, so the only phones were landlines, and the phone was inside the house. And the house was just over 600 feet from the barn. So they went to go make the phone call. And I felt compelled to go inside the barn. In fact, I went all the way into the back, where there was a small pool room set up. They had pool tables back there, benches, posts rising up from the floor, all in that little room right there. So it was kind of a congested area because there was posts in there. There was pool tables, video games, pinball machines. And it was a pretty small room, but there was enough room for 2 pool tables to fit in it, and they had 2 pinball games in there. And so wooden benches lined the pale green walls, and around every post there was, pieces of wood for some, a short piece of post for someone to sit on. So there was plenty of seating area in there. So that's where we went. We went in there and sat down. And I sat down on a piece of wood that right there at a post, and my friend sat down next to me. He was on a bench that ran along the wall. So I was in front of a post, and he was sitting against the wall. A room that they were playing pool, and I told him that there was a big fight raging outside. And as soon as I told them, they took notice, and they all went outside. And as soon as they went out through the back door there, I heard them get engaged into a fight. I mean, there was people out there waiting for them. And as soon as they walked out there, the fight was on. So So me and my friend heard all this going on, and I told my friend, I said, if we just wait a few minutes, all this is going to be over with, and we probably won't even have to watch it going on if we just sit here and wait. So that's what we did. We just kind of, stayed out of the way. Well, it was right about that time that the kickboxer and this other fella came into the room. I sat back and let my head rest against the post. It was a 10 by 10 wooden beam made from solid oak. So the two made their way over to us. The big fella said to me, "Do you want to fight?" I answered by saying, "No, I came here to listen to the band. I'm not a bad guy." And the man said, "That's exactly why I'm here to punch you out, is because you came here to listen to the band," he said. I read his body language, and he meant what he said. I hesitated. I didn't even flinch. Yeah, I hesitated and didn't move and didn't flinch. I just stood there kind of motionless, waiting for this guy to make a move on me. So the man took a step forward and threw his punch. He put all of his weight into it. I watched the fist hurling at me as if it were in slow motion. Once his body was committed and he couldn't retract the swing anymore, I rolled off the log and onto the floor at the very last second. I heard the loud, crunching thwack of his hand breaking on the oak. He screeched out in pain. I jumped up as quickly as I could for fear. I was surprised to find that the assailant had broken his hand so badly that he could no longer fight. He had given himself a compound fracture where the bones in his hands were poking out through the skin. His hand was pouring blood. He was kneeled over holding on to his hand. So it was kind of an astonishing thing to watch this, jolly green giant of a Goliath fold up like a little sissy and start whining. So it was kind of funny and kind of comical, but I actually kind of felt bad for him because it was my fault that he smashed his hand like that. But I felt it was way better than me letting him use my face. My friend and I jogged out through the rear exit. To my dismay, the fight was still raging outside. We had to work our way across the yard, past the house, and all the way down to my car. With some difficulty and a couple delays, we finally made it to the car. The tires on the passenger side had been slashed, so they were both flat. The mirror had also been torn off of my car, so those fellas vandalized my car on their way in because it was right there at the end of the driveway, and they had to pass by it before they came to the barn. There were fights near to us at the gate, so we hurried. I fumbled with the keys. Something smashed my windshield as I was turning on the car, and somebody threw a brick or something. I slammed it in reverse and gave it some gas, but I didn't turn out far enough from the shoulder of the road, and I slammed into another car. I backed right into somebody's car. So I had to pull forward real quick. And as soon as I did that, there was two guys running towards me with bricks. They were going to throw more bricks through the windshield. So I pulled forward a little bit, slammed it in reverse, and this time I turned way out onto the road, and I was able to back the car up, even with the flat tires. I was able to back the car up fast enough to get away from those two fellas. And they were running after my car too. They wanted to catch me, but I knew I had to move quickly, so I just went as fast as I could on the dirt road with those flat tires, and just kept going. Once I got out of there, I didn't turn back. So, but the moral of the story is, my friend and I made it without a single scratch. I mean, there were so many people that got beat up there at that place last night, but my friend and I, we didn't take a single punch, despite everyone's efforts. So I drove my car to the nearest store. We called 911 from a payphone, and I changed one of the tires and had to plug another one. I had plugs, but I discovered that the tire had been slashed instead of. It had a slash in it. It was too big to plug. So I attempted to plug the tire, but it didn't work. So all I had was a good spare. So I had one flat tire and a spare. I showed the damages to the police officer, even where I backed into another car. And the funny thing is we were never called to court to testify over what happened there that night. There was nobody at the farm when the police went there to investigate. The place was completely deserted. Everyone was gone. My two friends didn't make it to the phone. It was unfortunate. They got beat up pretty bad. They encountered heavy resistance and took some nasty blows to the face. They got away, but they got away with a cost. The whole thing was over for me in just 3.5 minutes, which most crimes occur with in less than 5 minutes. And this particular time, it was 3.5 minutes is all this thing lasted. From the time I saw the kickboxer in the driveway to me backing my car out of the driveway, it was just 3.5 minutes, which it's not much time. The destruction of my car, the fights, the post punch, and the brick to the windshield all occurred in that 210 seconds. Believe it or not. At the first sign of detriment, I moved to the pool room because it was congested with obstructions and weapons were available, though I didn't use any. I didn't exit the room with the others because I heard scuffling feet outside the door, and then there was silence. Sure enough, the pool players walked into an ambush and had to fight their way to safety. The kickboxer thought I was a sitting duck. However, in reality, I was in a position of protective concealment. I never imagined that he would shatter his hand on the post with his first punch, but it certainly worked out to my advantage. Crossing the yard and removing the car from its parking spot seems to be easy, but we had to maneuver carefully because chaos was unfurling everywhere around us. Even with the flat tires, the car gave us the ability to outrun the assailants, enable us to get away to safety. The words that the kickboxer and I exchanged could have changed the outcome. My reason for being there is the reason he came to fight. So if I would have come up with something other than I'm there to enjoy the party, if I could have said something else, maybe he would have let me go. And it kind of seemed like that's what he was crying for. I gave him the wrong answer and he threw a punch. It was that exchange at that moment that could have been changed possibly to, de-escalate the situation. If I would have said the right thing, the kickboxer would have possibly just passed us by. And this is the most serious moment, and great care should be taken when responding to someone that's, throwing punches and asking questions like that, because they're hoping you give them a wrong answer so that they can, throw some blows at you. I have 3 categories. They're 1, ingratiate, which is to give a person pride, honor, and credit in the form of compliments and gestures, a tribute of contribution. To lionize, to be inflated larger than life. And number 2, you can appreciate, just to add value, to increase in size, to build or increase merit, to elevate in stature. And 3, you can goad, which is to taunt or heckle and jest, to insult or make fun of, to belittle or demoralize, reverse or derogatory. So when someone asks you a question like that, you can do one of those 3 things. You can ingratiate them, you can appreciate them, or you can goad them. And each one of those responses is going to have a consequence, be it good or bad. If a person responds, the mannerism of the speaker's social demeanor will display body language. As sensory surveillance assessment analyzes environment for danger and the impact of the response. That said, the importance of this tool is critical in using it as a powerful resource. So what I mean by that is when an assailant is engaging you in conversation, they need something. They need you to fill in a blank somewhere. Like I said, you can either give them the right answer or the wrong answer. And if your words are productive to them, goes the way they want, makes them feel the way they want to feel, then they'll walk right by you and won't do anything to you. But you say the wrong thing, then you provoke a response that can be really dangerous. So, you know, these skills are skills that I learned while I was bounty hunting. And when I was bounty hunting, I had a lot of problems with this very same thing. You know, the assailants. You know, the absconders. There's a lot of them that do just that. You know, they really resent being brought to justice, and they'll even make comments to you while you're trying to apprehend them. They'll make comments about it, and yeah, if you say the right thing and convince them, a lot of them will just give right up. You say the wrong thing, though, they get really mad and resist even harder. So it's a really, really delicate game of words and body language that you play when you're engaging with an absconder, and you know, it's like conversation time like that. Because at that moment, you know, that's another one of those most dangerous moments with somebody. I certainly want to branch out and do more than just do wilderness videos. Me providing some of these exciting stories that actually happened to me in my past. Yeah, it's kind of fun to share it, just to share the story, but I'm really trying to help educate people on how to defend themselves against dangerous assailants, you know. And these tips, if you really analyze what I'm saying, analyze these stories, you'll see that there's a definite plan and prerogative to what I do when I'm faced with danger like that. And it's always my self-preservation. I always try to keep myself out of danger. So this farm party brawl is a great example about how a lucky duck can, end the fight. It prevented me from getting punched in the face. And believe you me, if that fella would have contacted his hand to my head, I would have went to the hospital. He would have crushed my skull. He could have possibly given me brain damage, because he punched that post so hard that he gave himself a compound fracture on his hand. I mean, the bone just exploded out of his hand. Blood was pouring everywhere. He had to have been in the most god-awful pain that anybody could ever endure because of that. And fortunate for me, it ended his fight instantly, and he was done. So thank you for joining me today for this story of the Farm Party Brawl. My name is Eugene Runkus. Thank you for watching. So if you like this content and you'd like to see more, you can look up Eugene Runkus /patreon.com and see more of this kind of material over there. Thank you for watching this video. I'm your host, Eugene Runkus.